Luck follows me very, very highly. Nath Smalls, Dennis McCann, Rimsey.
Cha-ching, cha-ching,
Yep.
cha-ching. 10k sales, 15k sales,
Yeah.
20k sales. Lucky you.
The orders was just going crazy.
Seven-figure clothing brand. You've done £1.1 million in sales. Co-founder of Tropez Official. It's a pleasure to have a family member on the podcast. Niko Clarke, welcome to Dubai. How are you, brother?
Very well, thank you.
Good. Well, it's great to see you. And it's a pleasure to have a family member on the podcast, the first one, and episode 10 as well. So a nice round number.
Exciting, milestone.
For sure. So, Niko, obviously, I know you very, very well. But for those that don't, I just want to give a little bit of context about yourself. So, co-founder of Tropez Official, which is a seven-figure now luxury menswear clothing brand. Now, what I think is most interesting about you and your transition into Tropez is how it all started. So you and I both know that Lucas Yazdanfar, or as we know him, Yaz, started the business in October of 2020 when he had his first official clothing drop, if you like. And you were actually one of his very first customers, I think, if not the first, right?
The first customer that he didn't know.
Very first customer that he didn't know. So before that, he'd only sold clothing to family members and friends.
Friends of friends.
Now, you approached him for more than just the clothing though, right? Because you'd seen what he'd been doing with the brand, even though it was in its infancy. And I think you saw a lot of opportunity there. And you actually approached him with an offer, basically to get involved in the business and invest. And I think his initial response was, he was probably a bit shocked, right? He wasn't expecting that
Definitely.
from the first drop. And he didn't say yes immediately, right? But I think you got a phone call a few months later, went and met, sat down, and then what happened after that was you both ended up forming officially Tropez Official, which was incorporated early 2021. Now, fast forward to today. Like I said, seven-figure clothing brand. In the past 12 months alone, you've done £1.1 million in sales, which is honestly just crazy, bro. Like, really? First of all, to take your first brand to be seven figures is crazy. And the fact that it's just still growing from here, it's very, very commendable. So, as I've often said to you and Yaz, at those key milestones, you should be proud of yourselves.
Thank you.
But I think what would be an interesting place to start then is what encouraged you to invest in Tropez? What did you see in it?
I guess you could say it's from the beginning of the journey, maybe. Perhaps when lockdown came into play, I was sort of sitting there. I was originally fitting windows and doors, and I didn't really know what to do with myself at that point. And then I spoke with Dad, and we went on from there and started doing building with together. And then I started saving up loads and loads of money, and I didn't really know what to do with it. And I always thought I wanted to invest it. I don't really know what in. I was sort of looking at houses. I thought, great, an Airbnb would be a good thing to get going. But I thought, right, I'm not really at the point where I can prove enough salary to get that. So I thought other ways of doing it. And then it all weirdly came together. I saw Tropez on one of my friends' Instas, and then I messaged them going, what is this brand? And then they said, oh, it's my mates, it's launching soon. And I was like, this is one of the best bits of clothes I've ever seen. Obviously, my fashion back then was awful. I didn't really know what I was wearing. Nothing was matched. Ended up buying it, wearing it out with my friends, and everyone's like, God, this is sick. And all my friends all ended up buying it as well. And this is back when Yaz was only dropping 25 pieces. Probably half of them was in Herne Bay of all my mates wearing them with me. And I think it was probably as soon as I bought into it, I was saying to my mates, I want to buy into this brand. Like, I want to own this with him. I really believe that we can make this something massive. This is before I even messaged Yaz. It was weird. I sort of spoke it into existence, and then I ended up speaking to him on Insta, talking back and forth and saying, obviously, I can understand owning a business would be really, really hard. If there's ever any struggles you come with, maybe we should meet up and see if I can help you with some of these things. He obviously blew it a bit away. He thought he could do his own thing at the start. Maybe he messaged me like 4 or 5 months down the line and said, let's meet up for a bit of food. We ended up sitting there meeting, and he wanted a loan at the start. He actually didn't want me to buy into it. He wanted a loan and pay me back on it. And I just proposed him everything that I thought I could have done with it. And we left there. We hadn't really even known each other, and I bought into half of it from then. And it's crazy. 3 years ago, and now I see him more than I see you, see him more than I see the whole family. Like, I'm with him all day, every day.
Yeah. It makes me laugh because I think I remember Yaz saying one time that once he'd sold all of the products from the first drop, he had people asking him, like, when's the second drop? And he was like, what, the second drop? Like, I've spent all the money. Like, I didn't save any money for another drop. That's probably when he thought of you and thought, I remember that guy wanted to get involved in the business.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing is that me and Yaz characteristic wise probably couldn't be more opposite. Everything about us, I would say we're just polar opposites of one another, but I think it's why it works so well. He's so creative, but I'm so business driven. I understand money management really well, maybe some aspects that he doesn't, but he knows so many things that I don't, and I think that's why we work so well together. There's a lot of areas that I can't really comprehend and he can't, but obviously I can do some things that he can't do.
Yeah, 100%. Well, those are the best matches, the ones that, what's the best way of saying it? Bring each other up, like where your weaknesses are his strengths and his strengths are your weaknesses, and vice versa. So you both collaborate and you're able to, well, clearly it's worked because you've built a brand that just keeps on growing and growing.
The thing I find most crazy is people struggle their whole life to find a good person to be in business with. It's the first person we both found at 19 years of age and couldn't be more perfect match for each other with it.
Yeah, I think Reese Wabara speaks on that, about how the older you get, the more difficult it is to build those long-lasting relationships. Because I think it's different when you're younger. Like, you'll go to school with someone, you've maybe known them for 6-7 years, then you're out of school, you continue that relationship and you get to know each other more and more, and then maybe dabble in business. But as you get older, you get less opportunity to spend as much time with people. So you have to be very good at reading people, and it can be difficult, you know, especially if you're going into business with someone, because you're putting... You're betting on them as well. Do you know what I mean? Because what's that saying about, like, I don't know, I think it's something like one bad apple will like bring down the ship or something along those lines. You know what I mean? Because the rotten apple, it spreads and it causes a problem. So maybe not directly correlate to just two people, but if someone's not pulling their weight and the other person is pushing and pushing, the one that's not pulling their weight is going to bring the other person down. I think, I feel like me and him have sort of grown up together. Even though it's been such a short space of time, I think the way that we've changed with one another and we've become similar in the way that we are, perhaps, not our minds, but the way that we talk and things like that. He says things I think, God, it sounds just like something I'd say, but we've almost like grown together and learned each other so well that we're at the age, we're both 22 now, we both know each other inside and out. A task might come in and he might go, right, you do it, like, and I'd be like, I can do the same as him, like, right, that's you got that. Like, we understand each other, we know what to do with one another, like, we know, okay, he's a lot better at this, so I'll leave you to it, I trust you. And it's the same goes for me, and then maybe it comes to it and I'll say, right, I've done this, what do you think about it? And he'll say, maybe it's all right, or good to go. I think those are a few of the most important things. I was going to say in business, but in life, but especially when it comes to a relationship: trust, honesty, and a business relationship, like making sure you've got no ego. Like, to be able to put your hands up and say, you're better at that than me. Like, I know you're going to do a better job. Like, and to be able to say that and not be bothered by that, that's like the perfect scenario. Like, to give it to someone else and clearly know he's better at that than me. I know what I'm good at. I'm going to stick to what I know and I'm going to let you do your thing and we're going to meet in the middle. Like, I have it with Joe and our business. Like, I know what he's good at and he knows what I'm good at. And we just clearly define the roles, and it sounds like you've done the same thing. And it's the best way.
I agree. I think there's no way it could be as successful as it is without it being like that. If ego takes over and you think you can do everything better than the other one, it's never really going to work out at the end of the day, I don't think.
100%. So when you had that initial conversation, then, you know, sat down, where did you go was it a Nando's or something?
No, we do go Nando's a lot. That's our new signature place, but it was actually a place in Rochester. Don Vincenco it's called. It's an Italian restaurant. But yeah, we sat down in there. I think I just turned 19, perhaps Yaz was still 18, roughly. And we sat there, probably in there for about 4 hours, I'd say, just speaking flat out. And I was just saying I'd saved up all this money, like, and obviously how I wanted to invest it. And he obviously had this business already started up. Obviously there were so many things that he didn't know, I didn't know. Obviously, like I say, we're so young, never owned a business before. So a lot of the things along the way, we've just been learning along the way. Like, we've made mistakes with it. We didn't really get taught anything about it at school, so it's all sort of been a lot of winging it with it, and everything sort of just managed to turn out right. But there's a lot more precaution in place now from where we first started, for sure. I
don't think anyone gets taught business in school. No. Even a business degree, I don't think that's business, like, really. But
definitely not.
The best thing to do is what you did and just get stuck in early. Like, when you're 18, 19, or even like early 20s, you have so much more opportunity to make mistakes. And I think that's where I'll give it to mum and dad. Like, they always encouraged us to do that. They always said, like, if it doesn't work out, you've got a safety net. You live at home, like, we can support you. You've got somewhere to live. And not some people don't have that opportunity, but if you do have that opportunity and you don't take it, like, man, it's only going to get harder as you get older.
I agree. I have always thought that. I've always said it. No children, no mortgage, nothing coming out. Where if the business did all collapse, okay, we can start again. I'm still living at home, so I haven't got to be worried about all these existential factors involved with it. And I know I've learnt along the way, so I already know I could probably do this again in something else.
Yeah, and it would be 10 times easier because you know all the little things now. Like, I often say this now, when it comes to advising other people, their problems seem so small because you've done it. Like, you were talking about some of the other things that you're facing earlier with, like, on the legal side of things, which I'll only touch on that if you want to, and maybe later on.
Of course.
You know, we can get to that. But like what we were saying, like, more money, more problems, more stress. But the earlier you get started, the more you almost climatise to those stress levels, I guess. But,
I agree.
So you've sat down in Rochester in a restaurant, sat down for 4 hours, which are always the best conversations. when you go past an hour, that's when it's getting good. And then you came away from that point, and then what happened? You started getting prepared for the next drop. Was it just all go from there?
At that point, Yaz had already done the initial launch, and then it was getting to the point, I believe, summer was coming up. Everyone was asking him, right, what's the next drops? What's coming? He had tech packs already designed there, but didn't have any money for the stock to come in. So obviously that's why I came into play perfectly. So we got the bulk order in for the stock, and then got it flowing from there. And funnily enough, at that time, we managed to meet Johnny Carey as well. Freedom to March, when COVID was going on, they wanted to reopen up the music scene. We went there, Yaz bumped into him. I didn't even know who he was at the time. He was up, just met Johnny Carey, said he really likes the set, and he wants to wear it. And he sent it to him after that. I don't even know. I think we were on 500 followers. After that, we probably went straight up to 1,000 just from a story that he'd done. Had a massive influx of customers just from that. Johnny ended up liking the bits, and it just managed to bring more and more people to us from it. Probably at that point, 80% of our customers were from him. It was crazy, but it managed to get a big influx of money from then. And I think I just really cut all the expenditure in the business down to pretty much nothing at all. So all the money coming in was able to compound a lot easier, save up money, be prepared for the next drops after that, know what's coming. But I'd say even now, 3 years down the line, we're still only getting good with the timings now. You have to work so far in advance with it. And there's so many other factors that come into play. We had Chinese New Year and all these other things, shipping delays. It's just trying to understand everything easier, know all these things that are coming, and be able to put the order in way before, you know?
That's it. That's like all these things are typically they should only catch you out once, and then you're aware of them, they're on your radar, and you know, you're getting more and more prepared. I remember the first times you were getting drops in, and you'd be like, they're in, we need the ads going, like, we need to get the sales in. I'm like, I haven't even got any content yet. How do you want me to run any ads?
That day, Yaz gets aggressive when it comes in, doesn't it? He's like, right, ads live tomorrow night, boys. We need to get pumping, campaign live.
We need these ads pumping. I'm like, I haven't even got the images yet. But like, we've got better as time goes on, and I think we're now getting inventory in a little bit earlier. Like this summer, I'd say probably could have done with getting in slightly earlier, but I don't think that was any fault of our own. I think a lot of businesses
there was a big transition with suppliers this summer. A lot of things trying out new samples that weren't really working. We was just hitting a bit of a brick wall with our supplier, which was a big thing. It made us realise we was very one-dimensional. We had one supplier in one place, and we thought, right, this hasn't worked out. We've got lucky all along the way. So we went on LinkedIn, managed to find loads of suppliers, took a trip out to Turkey last month, met loads of factories, crazy buildings they got, good designers, and we've really been able to see, okay, right, we can get the designs going on, get the samples going on now. We've been sampling 2 months ago for winter coming in September. So we know we're really ready for it now.
100%. So let's take it back a little bit, just because you were talking about Turkey then, and that's quite recent.
But
I remember when we first started working together, and I think at the time maybe Tropez was doing like 1k or 2k a month in sales, and it didn't take off like a rocket, but it was a slow, natural progression.
You guys, nice ball chart.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you guys, like you just said, you started getting in touch with the right people, influencers, people that were actually happy to promote the products, which from an advertising agency perspective, it gave us the opportunity to really utilize those creatives and just get more eyeballs on them. You'd already done the hard work. You had the good product, you had the right people wearing it, you'd identified who your target demographic was, and so all we really had to do from there was just get more eyeballs on it. And I think over time the product has got better.
Definitely.
Or the products that you have available have got better as well. We identified what your hero products were, and then can I share what you did in December?
Of course.
So I think from 2 years, right, we started working together probably about June. Well, actually, it would have been like late 2021, I think.
Yeah,
late 2021.
I think it was even
early
after
2022.
that. I think it was 2022 side.
I think it was like January 2022.
Yeah,
where you'd done like 1K in sales. And then December just gone, so within 2 years, we did, what was it, 206K in revenue?
Yeah, we pushed past December? 200, yeah.
So that's, what is that? What multiple is that?
206x.
Yeah,
that's a meme coin right there.
That's something worth investing in.
Yeah, 100%.
Sure. So I'd like to say as well, I think that's one thing that you've always been very good at, is trusting your gut and identifying opportunity. You've always been very sure of like what to do and when to do it.
Yeah.
And I think Mum even said when you were younger, like, that you'd never need her. Do you know what I mean? From a young age, you always just knew exactly what to do.
It is weird. I don't know what it is in me. I always feel like luck follows me very, very highly, because I always do things, even like when we're talking about crypto, when like I invested in Shiba and I said to you, oh yeah, I put £500 in this dog coin. Elon tweeted about it a few days later. It went up to 15,000 in the space of like 3 weeks. And then I ended up going into another one. I was like, oh, these dog coins are right. Put some into Floki, shot up to like 37,000. I had it in the space of like 2 months.
Wild.
I've had a lot of luck follow me with a lot of things that I've done, but I always just been sure on myself.
That's a very good thing. A lot of people, won't take action. I think Luke Belmar said something recently, and he's like, risk doesn't exist because I'm confident in my own decisions and I'm willing to bet on myself, therefore there's no risk.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I like that quote a lot.
It's funny. But anyway, that's my fault. I'm jumping about a bit now. So at the start, it was like 2K a month.
Yeah.
2 years down, we've scaled it to 200K in 1 month. Obviously, it's Q4, great time of year.
Of course, yeah.
Things did come down a little bit again as we started 2024.
Yeah.
But now we're transitioning to summer and scaling up again. So that jump was massive. There was kind of a lot of up and downs in between, and it was more of a slow, natural progression, but I think it was a healthy way to do it over those 2 years.
I think taking its time with it allowed us, as things got busier, to assess what areas were lackluster and what we needed to improve on. I think if we went from 1K to 200K in 6 months, I think we would have been overloaded too many areas that we hadn't improved on. So I think going slow with it, we've been prepared to improve everything along the way as well.
Well, what it allowed us to do was identify the bottlenecks while they were small problems and scale and grow with the business. Do you know what I mean? If we'd have shot up, like, as much as it would have been nice to, you didn't have the stock available to do it. It just wouldn't have happened anyway.
Yeah.
So packing the orders, you'd have been doing them out of Yaz's bedroom. Like, you know what I mean? So it's been a natural progression. But yeah, we identified scaling comfortably allowed us to, I keep saying us, it's your company, but I'm only saying us as in like,
I think you're just as part of the team as I am at this point.
Appreciate that. I only say us because we've been working together on it for so long. But it allowed us or you guys to identify the problems and patch them as we go. And we always say, when you have a good foundation, scaling becomes that much easier because you're not firefighting all the time. You need to get the base right. Because at the end of the day, ads are just eyeballs on a business. You need to have a good, solid foundation to be able to scale it. So at that point, you started working with some influencers. I think you got a couple of the Essex guys involved as well, weren't you? A couple of ex-Towie, a few rappers. Maybe talk through some of the people that you've had wearing. You got a lot of people over the time.
It's been crazy, the people that we've met along the way. Like I say, me and Yaz very opposite. Something that he is very, very good at is putting himself in the right place to meet the right people. Yeah. Like I say, that Johnny Carey one, like, you think luck, but he puts himself and gets these people so many times that it's him doing it. He managed to get us onto HS, Ed Matthews, and then I think at the same time he met Dennis McCann, all of them all in one. And then met Rimsey, and then he knew a guy that knew M Huncho and got us through that way. One of his friends was in VIP in Ibiza with James Locke, and his friend was like, oh, my mate's got a clothing brand, ended up getting onto him through that. A lot of it's just been such random different ways of it all happening. I think now we've got a lot bigger, it's become a lot easier for us to just message them and then them reply and say they like the bits. At the start, you had to really think the hardest different ways to get into these people. Like, we reached out to Nines, but we got through his manager, sent his manager quite a few bits, and then his manager liked it, and then he's wearing it around Nines, and hopefully one day Nines goes, oh, I like that set, where'd you get it from? You know, just putting it in the right eyes of the people who are around these people, you know. We went to A-Star Jewelers, dropped them some bits because they cut all the hair for some high-end people, so it's like maybe one day they're wearing it. It's all just putting it in front of their eyes, but we're trying to do it the indirect way where you haven't got to pay that crazy influencer fee, you know. I'm trying to think, there's been crazy. There's been so many. Nath Smalls met someone randomly that had the tee on. We sent him some oversized tees out that way. He's loved it. There's just all been so many different random people along the way.
For sure. I think, like you said at the start, you have to be so creative.
Yeah.
But then it's almost like compounding interest, right? Like, once you get the brand out there, I think, God, how many people have approached you by now, probably asking for stuff like saying, I'll promote it?
Yeah, crazy. DMs flat out every day, so many people. I was thinking another good one that we done was when we got with Gunter on the TikTokers. And he just had an army of all these TikToker guys that all just wanted it as well. And there ended up being like 20, 30 of them. And all these young guys started buying the brand. And they was like, all I can see on TikTok is you everywhere. Like, all at once. You know, that was Q4 when it really came in really strong. We reached out to every TikToker that was influencing all the people in our sort of demographic. They were all in Tropez, all of them. And everyone was like, every time I'm on there, that's all I see flat out is your brand.
Yeah, 100%. I remember, because we would see, I obviously get targeted with the ads, but we see it, we can see how much reach we're getting, it's crazy. But Q4 was a wild time. I think we set the new bar now.
I agree. We know we hit it now, so we know we want to maintain it.
So, okay, you had were they still called the Lux when Yaz first brought out that first product?
The Lux tracksuit, it was,
The green one.
Yeah.
So you started with the Lux, and then how have you naturally progressed through the products? You mentioned
funnily
summer,
enough, that weren't the first. The Lux tracksuit was, and then this hybrid was as well. One of the first ever products we done.
Got you.
In a navy and black, no embroidery. It was just print on it. But it started. Obviously, that was all Yaz. Them two designs, which props to him. Crazy from the get go to find a pathway that he wanted to do for the demographic. You know, maybe even before he even thought about who his target demographic was. He found some pieces that perfectly suited them. But I think we really started going into it maybe like 2.5 years ago when we had the discussion with you and Joe, and you guys were like, you really need to understand. I think one of the biggest things is who you're selling to. Who's your demographic? What are they doing? What are they wearing? What age are they? And I think it sort of allowed us from that point to see what clothes do they wear, what are the sort of places that they go. And it allowed us, when we were designing, to think, right, if everyone's going to Marbella or Ibiza, what sort of sets are they going to want to be wearing in the events? And what sort of sets are they going to want to be wearing when they go out, and things like that in England as well. So when you sort of understand who your customer is like that, you really know what they're going to wear.
Yeah, you can start to actually market to them because you know their wants and desires. You know, like you just said, you know where they're going to be, so you get the product, you go there and you do a photo shoot in that location ahead of summer, so they can visualize themselves in Ibiza or in Marbella wearing that set, you know?
Exactly that. But I always think that I get so many messages from people follow Tropez, and from that they flood through to me and Yaz, and they'll message us saying, I want to start a clothing brand, what are some tips that you have for me? And I always say, I think the biggest thing from the get-go, know who you're going to sell to, who is your demographic from the get-go before you even start designing clothes. Because if you start designing them and then you think, who am I going to sell to, and it's not that sort of people, you've wasted your time. So I think really from the get-go, you got to know who is it, who's the demographic inside and out, and then you can sort of go on and think, okay, what clothes do they want to wear from this? And it all falls into place so much easier, because then, you know, like you said, how do you market it to them? Because you already know who they are, so then you can really find out what they do inside and out, and then you know where to place the product, what sort of cars do they want to be driving, you know?
That's so true, and I think that applies for any business. You need to know who you're selling to be able to appeal to them. To the point of, yes, if we use clothing for this example, the design and the style, but like you said, and then how are you promoting the products? What's the background? What kind of location are they taken in? What messaging do you use as the copy? Like, what do you even call the products that's going to maybe like, for your particular demographic, sound appealing? You're not going to give it some silly name that's not going to appeal to someone.
Yeah.
Or you might as like some weird guerrilla marketing tactic. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, exactly, you just need to understand who you're selling to. And once you understand that, all of the decisions that you make should get much easier. You need to become that person. Do you know what I mean? And I think it was easier for you two because you're still in that age range of who you're trying to appeal to.
Yeah.
So just on that trajectory of products then, you started with that tee, but it wasn't embroidered. You had the Lux as well, and then what else
print
did you
as
bring
well
out?
on the Lux. And then I think the product development from there, what did we follow?
Was
the
it the
Windbreakers was the next ones that came onto, which I mean, I think that was over 3 years ago, I'm pretty sure, or maybe 2. It's hard, but
2, I think.
Yeah, 2. But wow, they've been crazy. I mean, I think we've really assessed they are our cash cows for sure. I'm pretty sure at this point we have 12 colorways of them or 13. But crazy. Every time I go out, if I'm going out in the UK, like you just said there, I am my target demographic. I think it's why it's very easy for me to understand my customers, because I was the first customer that Yaz didn't know, so I am that demographic. So I go all the same places that our customers would. So whenever I go out to events, or wherever I go out like Winter Wonderland, or just anything where our customer base would be, Windbreakers everywhere. You're seeing like 5, 6, 7 different colours. If you got Manchester to an event, we see loads of them everywhere.
Do you know what's funny? I just remembered when we were flying out here. Do you remember me and Martina flew out and I took a picture? There was a fellow on the
tracksuit.
On the plane with a timeless tracksuit. I was like, no way. Followed me to Dubai.
It's crazy. Even when I went to Ibiza in September last year, I was seeing them everywhere. A customer randomly sent me a message, picture of me in O Beach at my table saying, are you the owner of Tropez? And I was like, yeah, you can come over. And I was speaking to them and they were from like Birmingham. Yeah. They was just saying, they love the brand. But yeah, the Windbreaker, that was the next product that we went on to, and wow, was it a strong one.
I think that's where the game changed. We identified that you had now like a strong hero product. Yeah. And we could almost use it to get those consistent sales. Yeah. And then you had other product drops on top of them, which then just added more volume on top.
I agree. I was going to say, do you remember when we first started dropping the Windbreakers?
Yeah, that was
when we started building the hype, like when we was doing drops, but we was really leading up to them big time. Do you remember when we dropped the black Windbreaker set and sold out all of them essentially in the day?
I remember when exactly that. So we were doing lead generation campaigns leading into it to build up your mailing list and then emailing on the drop. And I don't know if it was the first one, but it was after you'd been dropping Windbreakers for a bit. Yeah. Me, you, Yaz, and maybe someone else went to a shisha lounge, and you both had your phones on loud, and it was like ding, 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 or the Shopify noise, cha-ching, 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 like on full volume, so everyone just kept turning around wondering what that was. And you'd just be like, 5k sales, 10k sales, 15k sales, 20k sales. You know, I'm just sitting there like, damn.
It was crazy, because that wasn't long after we started working together either. Like, it was very, very quick. Like, from 2k being our best month to doing 10k in a day a few months after, and nearly selling out all of the products just like that. It was crazy. And I even remember another time when we restocked the black Windbreaker after it was gone for a while. I was at an event and I'm sure I had to do the post scheduled for it to go live. I'd done it to go live and I was in Printworks and I kept refreshing it. The numbers, like the orders, was just going crazy, and this is obviously before we even started doing volume like that. And I was just doing it and they were like, why do you keep going on your phone? I was like, this is way more interesting.
Yeah, I bet. So we had the Windbreaker, and I think it come out just as a jacket initially, didn't it? And then you added the set, the trousers.
I think it came out with the bottoms as well. I think so, yeah. But the fitting on that was not how it was now. We've had about 2-3 different fit changes with it along the way, and now I'd say we got the perfect fit for it. Yeah. But the full set at the beginning.
Yeah. And then after the Windbreaker sets, you had, was it Timeless next, or was there anything in between?
There was a lot more products in between, I think. We started bringing out the mercerized tees.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, we brought out, trying to think what else we brought out since then. So hard when you're trying to think about it right here.
You have actually. You've had jogged my memory. You had the swim shorts, mercerized tees. then you've had other specific designs in between what you've done released amounts
Yep,
of, haven't you?
oversized tees as
Yeah,
well.
oversized.
We had the hoodie and short set as well. We brought out like the Deporte
Course,
set.
yeah.
There's
Yeah, I
been a
forgot
lot
about
of
all
products
of them.
along the way. That's why I was trying to sit here and think about
Yeah.
how many we've done along the way. I have no idea. There's been so many.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Timeless, I would say, was our next best Windbreaker and Luxe style. You know, something that really, really was a strong cash cow that was pumping crazy, crazy volume on it. I think it hasn't even been going a year yet, I don't think. Perhaps maybe 8-9 months, but it's been strong. They've been selling out again like the others, dropping them, sold out within a week, restocked, a few different colourways, sold out within a week. It's been strong, strong product. I'm seeing it everywhere again.
So what does that process look like when you're getting CAD designs made, you know, sending them off to the suppliers, getting samples back? Like, what does that process look like from inside the business?
Yeah, I'd say that's probably my most enjoyable part of the business as well. When you have that original creation and you're creating the CADs and you're looking at it there and you're putting the colour Pantones on it and you're thinking, oh, that looks like strong tracksuit, and you start playing around with it. You send it off to the supplier and it comes back, and obviously you got to think from the first get-go, you're not looking at the fitting or anything like that. It's just the design, and we're sitting there looking at it and thinking, yeah, this is sick. Like, I know this is going to be good. And to be honest, I'm sure the first sample that we done fit perfectly as it does now. I remember it coming back and we were looking at it and we was like, it was the most smooth transition of product that we'd ever done, like in terms of the first sample being perfect. And we put the bulk order in for it, and then once it all comes in and you got a lorry unloading pallets and pallets and you start unboxing it, putting it on the shelves, getting the content ready for it, leading the hype like we were saying earlier, getting all the content running, ready to launch. And then it's when before the first initial launch, shall I say, and you're sitting there and you always think, how well will it sell? You know, because I think it's sick, Yaz thinks it's sick, some of our friends all liking it, but you never quite know how well it's going to do. It's always a bit of a worry when you launch it. You're like, is it going to sell out like the others? Is it going to be slow, you know? And the Timeless, they sold out rapid, really, really fast.
For sure. It's always that anticipation. Even if you're so sure, like you almost just need to see it happen to truly believe it, you know?
I agree 100%. It's always like that with new products that we're doing. We always think, oh, it's hard. You don't know how much to put in for the bulk order. You think, am I really confident with this? Am I going to start putting in large numbers? Or you don't want to put in too small that it sells out in a day, and then you got to wait 5-6 weeks for it to restock. And, you know, the season's going by. You want it all there ready, you know, so that if it starts selling fast, you can put the order in, it can be replenished before it's sold out. But it's just one of them things. We're understanding more now, right? We know that's going to sell well. Like, we're confident with it. But, yeah, sometimes you're worried and you're thinking, God, well, if we drop it and no one buys it.
Well, these are all the things that people don't see, right? People, like, don't get me wrong, the barrier to entry now has never ever been easier. Like, you can go on, well, I'd probably better touch on what websites you'd use, but how did Yaz find that first supplier?
Mate, crazy. So the first supplier, I think he thought about starting a clothing brand, so obviously started Googling things about it, and obviously from that, you know, you start getting hit with ads on Instagram. Got hit with an ad, and it was a guy that middleman for suppliers. So essentially he done the order, put it through, he knew a factory out in China, and obviously put a drink on it that way. And then I think Yaz started looking for someone that could manufacture more of our packaging bits, and the lady done some really, really sick packaging, and he said, oh, do you do clothes as well? And she said yeah, and we ended up going through her and from Alibaba, and she's the supplier that we've been using for about 3 years now. Really, really strong supplier, weirdly, from getting packaging bags to that. But I think now all the suppliers that we're currently using is from LinkedIn. We didn't realise quite how crazy LinkedIn is.
Yeah, LinkedIn is always where you go for quality. We've started hiring from there as well. Yeah. Our past 2 hires have been from LinkedIn, and you just get much better quality on there.
Yeah, it's crazy because the designers that we use now, all from LinkedIn, the factories that we're all using, all from LinkedIn, and the quality that we've been seeing with them, like the designers, some of the best things I've ever seen. Like I was saying to you, like, you can give them a bit more creative freedom with it, you know. Before, we had to be the ones, every single aspect of the tech pack had to be from us saying it, because maybe they weren't that qualified from it. But we found someone that's a doctor in the field. He's been doing textiles and fabrics for over 30 years. Like, he's a wizard. He goes to us, to be honest, boys, that's awful. Like, he's like, I would do this, this, and this. And like, I said to him, I value you as a member of the team. We've only been working with him for about a month, but he comes in with such quality ideas every time. Like I say, when it gets to winter this year, the products that we're going to be dropping are going to be crazy. And summer next year, they're going to be so strong.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to touch on that. Before we do, I was just going to finish what I was saying about how there's never been a lower barrier to entry. So like that, you've managed to source a supplier on Alibaba, you've found someone on LinkedIn who does the designs for you. But what people don't see is all of the stuff behind the scenes, knowing what order quantity to purchase, actually getting that to the influencers, getting the content done, hiring the videographers, getting the right footage to put out to appeal to your target demographic, flying overseas to get the shoots done, paying the advertiser to promote the products, although you got a good price from us, getting the sales in, all of these things that people don't see. They might just naively think, oh, like, you know, I'm going to start a brand and it'll be easy.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I think over time it gets not easier, but like we were saying at the start, like your ability to solve these problems and your understanding of the industry develop. And then, yeah, okay, maybe it does get easier, but then bigger problems come along.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But to touch on what you were just saying then as well, about transitioning now into new clothing with a new designer, you mentioned that it's always been easy to sell to your target demographic because you are your target demographic.
Yep.
But do you think that as you and Yaz are getting a little bit older, not older, but you're still, what are you now, 22?
Yeah, 22.
And Yaz is 21?
22.
Oh, he's 22 as well. So given that you guys started the brand when you were 19 and he is 18, I would imagine that your view of what you like to wear has changed. I've even seen you wear different clothes, and the designs for Trope are slightly different. So do you feel as though there's going to be a transition into maybe a new style of clothing, and what do you think that might look like for your existing audience?
It's funny you should say that, because it's been a big thing that we've been talking about recently, because I've found I wear a lot different clothes to what I did last year. Like a year ago, I'd say I was definitely a Tropez customer. Like all what I'd wear would be that sort of design and style. But now the stuff I wear is completely different. Like come summer, a lot more linen, pleated, sort of what you'd say maybe older people would wear, I guess. I've been wearing a lot more like flared jeans, oversized tees and things like that. My fashion has completely changed in the last 6 months, and it's me and Yaz are trying to understand now, like you said there, what is the right path to go down, because we don't want to sway our new designs too far away from who our customers are and what it is they wear, just because maybe we're not wearing that anymore. But it's understanding, like you say, do we want to start bringing out new collections that perhaps are a bit different, that are a bit more edgy, which we are going to do something like that come winter drop, something a bit different. Like I say earlier, a lot more limited pieces on it to see maybe how well does that fetch in our market, how well do our customers like it, because we could also tap into a whole new range of customers that are the same age but perhaps a slightly different demographic, you know. What I'm wearing a bit more now, but it's just trying to understand, do we want to go down there, but we don't want to go too far away from what our customers want and need. So it's a big thing that we've been discussing right now, you know.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? And I'm not even sure what the right answer is for that. I think it's just test the waters and see how it goes.
Like I say, limited pieces, perhaps one new style and 2 colorways, see how it goes. Because Tropez doesn't always need to be targeted just to this specific demographic of people, you know. It can also push into perhaps another style of person, but it's just understanding the price points may be a lot different. So it's like, okay, they're dropping sets here for 90, but then their pleated range is 160. So it's a bit like you're trying to hit 2 different people. It's just understanding what's right as well with how we're going to do it. Yeah. So it's a big thing we're discussing right now. So it's funny that you said that, because we have been going back and forth with this a lot recently, but as of right now, I don't have an answer with it. Like I say, we're going to test out a slightly different demographic with a new piece in the winter, see how it goes. And maybe, like you say, future down the line, as our customer bases that are loyal to us get a bit older, maybe they even start liking the sort of linen wear and things like that, and we can start pushing a bit down that route. Yeah. But it's just understanding the right time for it.
Yeah, well, we said at the start about your intuition, didn't we? So just trust your gut. I think as long as you and Yaz are both sold on the vision and what it is you're trying to do, I'm sure it will work out just fine.
Definitely.
You know, just limit the possibilities for things to go wrong by controlling as many variables as you can.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. Some things will always be out of your control, but limit what you can. So, okay, you've now, and now would be a good time to talk about the introduction to the new supplier.
Yeah.
So you were getting everything shipped in from China and designed by the Chinese supplier?
No. So getting designed by freelancers in the UK.
Designed by freelancers in the UK, but manufactured in China.
Yep.
Now you're getting it all designed and manufactured in Turkey based on a visit you did last month or earlier this month.
Not long ago. It was about 2 weeks ago now. Felt like I haven't rested since then.
Mate, Dubai will do that to you as well. It feels like Dubai... Well, I do sleep, but it feels like this place just never rests.
It's crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yaz is asking me, do I want to go Marbella with him Monday? And I get back Monday. I was like, oh, I'm going to have to miss this one out. You take the shoot yourself. But yeah, it just feels like everything's been hectic. But then I feel like that's what it is with the change of season, change of supplier. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. So everything is hectic because there's just so many different things going on at once.
But what you have been able to automate is near enough all of your processes, right? You've got the warehouse now, which when would you have got that? Would it have been about
September.
8 months ago? 9 months
End of September. I think we moved into it literally the start of October.
And before that, everything was being shipped from where?
Crazy. Yeah, the transition's been insane because I think it's only about 18 months ago that we were still in Yaz's garage. I'm sure it wasn't too far from that date. And then we ended up moving into I think it was a 300 square foot unit, or it might have even been 150 in a storage unit sort of place. And that quickly, we outgrew that within the space of maybe 2 months. And luckily across from it was one double the size. So we moved into that, must have maybe had 3 racks in there. And then we moved from there in September to the one we have now, which is 2,000 square foot. And the growth has been ridiculous. We probably have maybe 30 racks, like downstairs. I'm talking the moving room and some of the aisles, you've got to go sideways on it. I know I'm getting bigger, but there's not a lot of breathing room down there. But it's insane. Every single rack is stacked to the brim. Upstairs, there's probably hundreds of boxes of more stock ready to be replenished when it starts selling out more. The growth in that unit has been insane, so rapid, considering we've been in there probably 8 months now, or 7 months.
Yeah, for sure. And you've just taken arrival of all of your summer stuff that went live over the weekend as well.
Yeah, and more came in Friday, but obviously I was in Dubai, so I told Yaz to leave it because, like I say, different things. I'm good at organising. He'd hurt my brain if I came back and saw what he'd done with it.
So everything now is geared towards your summer stock.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about kind of where you see the vision going, maybe with the introduction of some new designs when the time is right.
Yeah.
But what does the rest of the year look like for you?
The rest of the year, well, the rest of the week, Yaz will be flying out to Marbella, I think, come Monday, doing a shoot out there, grabbing a lot of picture content. I think there potentially is going to be a small vlog going on as well.
Nice.
We got a good videographer coming out of us. Crazy content ideas. We got mics, there's a lot of stuff going on down Port Banús. I don't know if you can go up to people with mics there, but we're going to try and grab a bit of that style content as well. But yeah, like I say, that's just for the next week. But after that, yeah, keep summer in full flow. Like I say, we've got a lot of stock there ready to be moving. There's a lot of stuff going on. And we've been heavily on designing with winter stuff, like I said. There's a lot of new stuff coming in the new collection. So it's just big sampling right now, really trying to understand with the branding as well how we want to go, because we have a lot of new product lines and we want to start switching things up a little bit. So it's just understanding what's right with it. We probably designed about 40 new logo variations that just all there that maybe we'll use Monday, maybe we won't. But a lot of stuff's going on right now with just all product development, sampling. We're just having samples coming back and forth with a few different suppliers, just really trying to get the perfect piece with them, testing out price range, testing out durability, putting it through the wash loads of times. Does it shrink? Making sure everything's perfect. There's so much going on behind the scenes that I think when we first started, I remember having a conversation with someone and they was like, oh yeah, clothing brand easy, you just put your logo on a tracksuit and it's good to go. I was thinking they don't understand the ins and outs of it is insane. But product development right now coming on for winter, and winter's when we're really going to start. We'll be ready this time, A lot of the seasons, like you said, summer has been rushed. We just haven't been quite prepared as we would want to be. But come on to winter this year, we're going to be ready way before. You have content long in advance, so you can get that lead gen pumping up.
Definitely.
But yeah, a big campaign push as well. We want to start trialing a lot of different content. We want to even start doing every month, just getting we trialled initially, remember, with the mic, that sort of style content, sort of giving people a lot of insight into who me and Yaz are, what our goals are, letting everyone see that we are the same demographic as them, you know, really giving a feel into the brand and letting people really know what the story is behind it and the journey, what we want to be doing in the future with it and the whole goals with it. But I'd say, yeah, that's probably for the rest of the year.
100%, I would document the journey.
Yeah.
100%, like, because the people that do it always build such an amazing audience.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like they've lived through it with you.
Yeah.
Like, even to continue building from now and showing people like the ins and outs of your day to day, and you and Yaz have a good laugh as well. So it's just really funny to watch it, you know. Like, it's not necessarily a serious work environment, although
we're not really that serious. We was even saying it to the Turkish manufacturers because like we're just joking flat out, and obviously they don't really quite understand. And we're like, no, we're just messing. Like we joke a lot, and there's like, oh, okay, I understand. I think there's no need to be so serious in it, you know. Like we know what to do, we know how to get the job done. Like it doesn't need to be like right, no talking to each other. You know, we're sitting like as we're sitting now in the unit every day. Every time I look up, all I see is his face there.
Lucky you. That's brilliant. So yeah, definitely get some content going, mate. I'm trying to do a similar thing on Twitter now, like just very, very slowly, but just like posting every day. Yeah. Just to try and position ourselves as more of an authority, because what I realised is you could know absolutely everything, but if people don't know you, it doesn't mean anything.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean?
I was going to say one of the biggest things that annoys me is I was never someone to document things, you know. Even now, I'm only just trying to force myself to do it more, but I hate how much content me and Yaz missed of so many things that happened along the way that we didn't know how to get good content either, like awful pictures, videos, just things that wouldn't be usable. But now we're really, really on it, really good with understanding how to get content and things like that. So progressing, things all look nicer on the journey, but it just annoys me that we didn't have as good stuff of when it was going on in the garage and when we was switching units and people could see the transition in 18 months. They went from this tiny crammed garage to this massive unit, you know.
But you can still describe it to people.
Of course,
There's never, like, it's a tough one because at the time, the last thing you're thinking about is showing everyone you're upgrading the unit.
Yeah.
At your time, you're just so busy on other things. And you think, I guess you just think, who cares? But when you've done it and you look back and you actually really speak the journey like you are now, you realise, wow, actually there's so many things that, like, good times, bad times, scary times, like, that are just worth sharing. So definitely get in the habit of it. And now you've got the cash flow there and available, you've got the unit, you've got the, warehouse basically, where there's a lot of opportunity to have a videographer with you, or if you are going out to do a shoot, I think you guys do it anyway, just like have a laugh there and get a load of footage. But definitely just use it. I think even if you were to go back through all of the pictures on yours and Yaz's phone, you can show people what that first unit looked like and the second one and where you are now, and you know, you can still describe it with your words or even a video. So I think don't feel as though it's an opportunity wasted, but it's something you can revisit and start expanding on now. It's still discussing the journey, you know? Yeah, no, I agree, 100%. But going back on what you said about the shoots, those are the best. It's just a group of all my mates and we're just all laughing, getting content together, and then they're doing recordings. I'm like, oh, don't put that in there, don't put that in there. People always text me saying, how can I model for you? I'm like, to be honest, these are all just my mates. Like, we don't really use models or anything like that, you know? Yeah, that's the best way, I think. Just keep it. You know what? It makes it more of an enjoyable process. Something I always try and remind myself is like, it's great to have goals. It's great to be working towards things, but don't forget to enjoy the present. It's not until I stop and think that where I'm actually like, look at where I am and the life that I live. Like, I always think, oh, but I still don't feel like I've proved it to myself yet based on how much I'm earning. But really, it's going to sound a bit like wishy-washy, but I think wealth comes from up here. Your mindset and the way that you perceive everything. If you perceive yourself to be wealthy, then you are, because the only way you can not feel wealthy is if you're comparing yourself to someone that's wealthier. And even then, is it just a monetary value? Because what people always do, and I do it myself, is compare themselves to people that are further along. So they never compare themselves to people that they've flown past. You know, so when you actually stop, zoom out a little bit and look at where you are on your journey, it's like, I'm happy here. I need to enjoy the present and not always be so focused on the future, because
I agree.
one day I'm going to be old, sitting there looking back on the past, realizing how happy I was, but I didn't realize it. Not to say I'm not happy, but I often just have to try and remind myself, like, it's great to have goals, it's great to work. Maybe I'm guilty of being a bit too serious sometimes. My team will say that, but it's also important just to enjoy the present, you know. And I think that's what you guys do very, very well, is just enjoy the journey.
I agree. I think these are prime years, and we are growing a company, and it is making really good money. So I always say to Yaz, like, it always is good to do things that you enjoy as well, because things flash. Even I think back 3 years ago, gone so fast. Like when we first started this business, I remember it exactly. Like I remember the conversation we were having. I remember all of it, and I think 3 years goes like that. I just couldn't imagine being 40 and thinking, I wish I'd done this, I wish I'd done that. I always say to people, if anything did happen and I was to die tomorrow, I would be content with the life that I lived and the years that I have. Like, I very much live life to the max, 100%.
That's so powerful. I think I'd like to think on that as to whether I would say the same. I believe that I would, but I think I think I'm guilty of maybe working too much sometimes. Like, that's why it's been so nice this week that you guys have all come out and like we meet you for lunch and do things at work, because I'm very guilty of just falling into routine.
Yeah.
I like work and I like going to the gym Monday to Friday. I'm happy with that. And then on the weekends, I'll enjoy myself. And even then, I don't mean drinking alcohol or doing anything excessive. It's just going for a nice meal or just enjoying Dubai. But you know, I still find myself of an evening maybe sometimes sitting down and watching the TV or whatever. And I think the reason I wanted to live in this place was to be able to take advantage of the beaches that are on my doorstep and the lovely weather. And it's very easy to just kind of fall into a routine.
Yeah.
But that's why it's been nice to have you guys here to kind of shake it up a little bit and make me realise you don't have to just sit at your desk working all day.
No.
As much as
I saw some guy when I was down at one of the shisha lounges that was sitting there, and he had his laptop, he had the whole setup, everything going on, smoking a cigar, doing like some team viewers call there with the whole skyline in the background. You definitely don't need to be in a room. You can be anywhere around there.
For sure. No, I have done that at times, or on the weekend I'll maybe go to a shisha lounge and do a bit of work, and it's where I'll just have a few hours to myself and like a bit of a brain dump on all of the things that I'm mapping out and working towards. But again, I guess it's a bit sad to say, but I get joy out of fulfillment, out of completing things, out of working on things, out of doing things. So in a way, like, I am enjoying the way that I live my life, but I think what I need to do is maybe just take advantage of the environment that I'm in more. Not to say I don't get out, like I meet a ton of people, but it's just I don't always need to work from the apartment. It's just easier. I have my setup there, got everything set up. It's easy to wake up, have a coffee, have a shower, put the computer on and start working.
I think it's easy to get lost in it when it is on your doorstep. Sometimes you forget how great it is outside, you know? Like when I come here came from England, and everything to me, this is insane. So I want to be out in it every single day. As soon as I wake up, I need to get out in the sun, because I know when I go back, it's raining, there's no tanning going on there. I want to make the most of it here, but I think when you live here and you do have access to it, sometimes it's just like any other place, you know? But you got to think, this isn't like any other place. There's nowhere like this.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's if I really stop and look at it, it's been amazing. The almost 6 months that I've spent here, the podcast, all the people I've met, which has literally been life changing. The business, everything that we're working on, it's great. Like if I really, like I say, just zoom out and focus on the present rather than the future, there's nothing I would change.
Yeah. That's
so maybe
good.
that does answer your question. Maybe I would be happy if I died tomorrow. Wouldn't be happy, but I'd be
content with the life that you've lived.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a big thing. I think people do ask me, like, oh, they say to me, "Wow, you've done so great. Like, it's amazing what you've already achieved." But me and Yaz, I think I always think to myself, I'm poor. He always thinks it as well. Like, I never think that I've made all this money or this business is doing so well. I always think like where I want it to be. I always think to myself, I know this can be better. I know where this can be in 3 years. I've seen other brands where we was 3-5 years ago. I see where they are now, and I think we can get to that level. I never stop, really. Maybe something that I should do more and think, wow, we have achieved so much in these 3 years. It's because in my head I know where we can be, and I always think it can be so much bigger, it can be so much better.
100%. I think that's just being an entrepreneur. You get that from me, or our parents. But yeah, I think that is all it is, isn't it? How can I be a little bit better every single day, whether it be my business or my health or the product? It's just knowing what you want to do, and once you know what you want to do and you know how to get there, it just becomes easy to keep improving and making these things better. I think it's just the standard that you hold for yourself, isn't it?
I agree.
The business is a representation of you, and it's almost like your reputation. So you know that it can always be a little bit better. Maybe if it's not product, it's this or that.
I think no one could be more critical than yourself on your own business, for sure.
100%. And if you've got two like-minded people like you and Yaz, that will call each other out on certain things and bring each other up, that's also important. You need to be in a competitive environment to
I think it helps perhaps maybe that we wasn't friends before the business started. You know, perhaps if he was my long-term friend, maybe it would be a bit harder for us to pull each other up and things like that. But where our friendship has only been from us doing the brand together, so like we can pull each other up on it, you know, and we know it's no hard feelings, because at the end of the day, I want it to work, he wants it to work. This is our full-time job now, you know, so it has to work. We need it to work. It is our living.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's actually a really important point to touch on, is you guys started working together in summer of 2021.
Yeah.
You were growing that business and reinvesting everything back into it for at least 2 years.
Didn't take a penny out of the business until October 2023.
And even still up until that point, you were working on a construction site with Dad,
yeah,
weren't you?
Yeah.
So you didn't take any money out of the business for over 2 years and constantly reinvested it and grew it. So when you said earlier about you feel as though in certain situations you get lucky, yeah, but also there are situations where you can see the vision, you're willing to put the work in,
yeah,
and then the luck will come later. You know?
Of course, I think it is. Yeah, like I say, I've always been really good with money management. I think it's, some people would see a business account and if it had £30,000 in and think, well, maybe we'll spend 5,000 and go on holiday. You know, we got all this money sitting here. Me and Yaz always instilled, the business has no money. We need to keep reinvesting. We need to keep growing it, you know, and we got it to the point where the salary that we did take £1,500 each, very minimal in the UK. We took that, and it didn't really dent the business, because it got to the point of over 2 and a bit years of just growing, compounding, reinvesting, to the point where we thought, okay, now we can go full time on this, and it's something that it's not going to affect the business in a way. You know, I think it's hard as well when people start a business, they see it maybe doing okay, and then they think, okay, let's start taking a salary from it. You've just put another expense on the company. You're now reliant on it. That business, it has to be able to produce that money for you to pay yourself. It also has to have enough money to grow and keep compounding and getting more stock in. So I think the best way that we done it was the way that we did, with just keep it growing, not take any money from it. I was working full time, he was working full time, and really just putting every single 3 minute into it. And it was at the point where even before we were taking any money, people was like, wow, you must be rich. I was thinking, mate, all we do is put time and money into this and grow it. It's not about being rich. It's just about keep building this company.
Yeah, 100%. You know what? I think that's a really good point, in that actually for 2 years, not only were you not taking a salary, you were investing so much of your time and energy in it to grow it.
Yeah.
Whereas other people, like you say, might be trying to make a quick win, make money quickly, see this as a ticket to escaping their 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Yes, it can be, but it takes time. It really does take time, and more than just time, it's going to take your energy, and you need to have true conviction that what you're doing is going to pay off. Like, you need to understand the long-term vision, because like you say, if you guys took money out of the business too quickly, and the problem with taking money out of a business is you get used to it.
Yeah.
And you're never going to kind of like decrease the amount that you're taking out.
I agree.
You're only going to increase it. That's something that I've always said with Joe. Every time our revenue increased, I was like, yes, we could do a bigger payout this month, but we're going to get used to that.
Yeah.
And that means next month we're going to want the same and the same. And we need to be very cautious that, yes, we took a big amount of revenue this month or over the past few months, but can we sustain a salary increase over the next 3 months of that amount? Or do we need to project, our client LTV and stuff like this? So I think money management is one of the most important things when it comes to business, 100%, whether that be taking money out of the business or reinvesting it back in, understanding what you've got available, what cash is coming in, You know, all these things that you don't really learn unless you get involved in doing.
No, I agree. I think that's why it's been good with, like we said earlier, growing the company slowly, understanding what are all the outgoings, how much they're going to be as it's growing with it. So we know, right, we need this much money in the business account always, and we need this much saving in the VAT pot. So everything's coming in. We need to put 20% in there to cover that, you know, because the VAT bills are coming up to like 80, 90,000 a quarter. And it's like, if you didn't have that saved and that came out of nowhere and you got a month to pay it, you're like, well, where do I get that from? You know? 100%. So it's just trying to maintain everything at the right pace as well. But touching on what you said earlier as well, people think it is quick and it is easy to do a clothing brand. Like the amount of people that message me wanting to start it. But like I say, I also say to them, you need to understand the amount of time we invested into it, the amount of money we invested into it, the amount of it wasn't really doing much at the start, you know, but we were still trying all these different angles, trying to make it work. I think it's very easy to put this money into it, do your first drop, expect to have some big flip, and then it just keeps free flying like that. It's not really going to happen, not unless you already have a big following or a big amount of people that are already ready to buy it. You're not going to drop it straight away, and it's not going to sell out straight away, you know. I think people don't really understand that. They only see what's going on now, that we are able to now take salary, we are able to live a bit better lives, but they don't see the whole hardship at the start of not taking any money, working full time, finishing work, doing all these emails, trying to put an email campaign out, trying to get all the content lined up. Like, they don't see all them late nights. They just see the success now and they think, well, how do I do that? It seems quite easy. Shall I just get set, drop it, and it should go well, you know?
Yeah. Well, hopefully this podcast has opened up people's eyes a little bit to the inside of running a clothing business, but really just an e-commerce business in general, because apart from the actual particular design element and the contacting of Chinese suppliers and stuff like that, you know, most e-com businesses will share a lot of these similarities.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully people have found this conversation useful. I definitely enjoyed it. Would you have any maybe finishing thoughts for anyone that's looking to start an e-com business, do you think?
I think one of the biggest things is just do it. I think so many people, I've been out before and they talk to me and they'll tell me one of the best business ideas I've ever heard. And I'll ask them a year later, like, oh, how's it going with that? I haven't started it. I think so many people are so smart, but they just don't have it in them to just do it. Like I said, along the way, everything's been learning along the way. We've made so many mistakes and we've just learned from them and then been able to make sure we never do that again. But so many people just don't take the risk. Like, I think if you have a good idea about anything on e-com or anything business related, I'd just go for it. If you want to get out that 9-to-5 cycle, the only way you're going to do it is by believing in yourself and getting stuff done.
100%. I think that's a great point to end on. And speed to implement, because the quicker you implement something, the quicker you can learn from it. If it's just an idea and you keep building it and you never implement it, you've not learned anything.
Yeah, I agree.
So there we go. Get started today. But Niko, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I hope everyone did too. Just to plug in the brand then, where can people find you and where can they find your business?
Yeah, where can't they find us now? If you look us up once, you're going to get hit on Instagram, Google, TikTok ads, a lot. Right. But yeah, our main platform, I'd say, is Instagram, which we really push all the content, but we're really branching out to TikTok now as well, doing a lot more behind the scenes stuff. So if you do want to know about that sort of style as well, follow our TikTok for that sort of content.
Perfect. And yourself? Should we plug in your Instagram?
Niko_Clarke.
There you go. All right, well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.